Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Everyday Educator Podcast. We're really excited. I don't know if you can see me on YouTube, but I am in the holiday mood. And that is because today we're going to be talking about holiday family presentations. I have two great friends with me today. I've got Kelli Wilt and Lisa Bailey, and they are going to tell us all about it. And before we hop into this conversation, I want you to know that I am very much sitting in the brand new seat. So if you are listening and you're saying to yourself, hey, I don't know what you're talking about, that's okay. I'm here to represent us all. And Kelli and Lisa are absolute veterans. And so I think this is going to be a lot of fun. That said, ladies, why don't you introduce yourself for any listeners who don't know you or your families? Kelli, why don't you go first?
Sure, I'm glad to do that. Hi, I'm Kelli Wilt. Our family has been involved with classical conversations since 2009, so I guess that
Wow.
does qualify me as a veteran now. And currently, I serve as the lead of program development on Classical Conversations' amazing multimedia team. And I enjoy getting to do things like write curriculum and create resources for our foundations and essentials families, as well as those who perhaps have some scribblers, younger children as well. So lots of good things. I get to dip my spoon in lots of yummy pots of pudding on this team.
Delicious.
You're making me hungry. I have not had lunch yet, and so
Oh,
you're
no.
making me hungry. I'm Lisa Bailey. I have also achieved veteran status because my family started doing classical conversations when my girls were second grade and fifth grade, and I was their loving mom who was learning alongside of them. We started in 2004, and that is hard for
Wow.
me to believe. But I enjoy staying fresh as I get to interact with families of all ages. My role currently is the director of program development and support, and I still get to write a little bit of curriculum and do a whole lot of podcasting. But what I mostly do is smooth the way for developers and writers like Kelli to create the beautiful things that your family uses at home. So I have lots of stories to tell, Delise. Some cautionary tales, some tales of celebration, and some things that you guys would roll your eyes and shake your heads at. And just because you've been doing it a long time does not mean that you have it all right and that everything goes well in the realm of homeschooling. I am blessed with three, almost four grandchildren now. One that is quickly approaching foundation's age. And so I practice on Gideon a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, and thank you, ladies, for everything that you've done to invest in our homeschooling journeys. Everybody who is listening has had a touch from something that you have
Aw.
touched. And so that's a big deal to us, and we appreciate it. And that said, everyone who is listening, if you do community, you have probably seen at least one family presentation. But I will say that I have never actually seen one. So,
Delise, oh my goodness, look what joy is ahead of you, friend.
thank you. Would you paint the picture? Define the family presentation for us, Kelli. If people who are listening don't know what that is or what to expect, what is just a generic family presentation at community?
Absolutely. So a family presentation is your unique opportunity to introduce the members of your family to your greater community of friends who come alongside you on a weekly basis. And so it is not a time for you to fear or dread. It is a time for you to think simply but creatively about what makes your family unique. What do you want people to know about you? And to maybe exercise some classical skills in being able to introduce your family well so that others know you and hear your words and say, me too.
Yeah.
And then it knits your hearts even more closely together.
I love it. That's a really great definition. So it's an
Yeah.
opportunity to introduce yourself. And I love that you mentioned think about something unique or maybe a way that you can connect. We all have our
Mhm.
passions, we've got our hobbies, and you don't always know a gardener by looking at their hands. So you could
True.
tell people, hey, I love this, I love that, and make some more connections in community. We were talking this week about the fact I work in the marketing department of Classical Conversations, and we were talking about the fact that our number one unique here at Classical Conversations is our community.
Mhm.
There are other companies that offer homeschooling or Christian
Absolutely.
or classical education, but we do community really well here at CC. And I want you to know that if you're listening, because this is your opportunity to dig deeper when you're doing this family presentation. So I'm glad that you brought that out. And I'd love to know from you guys, do you like public speaking? Is this something that excites you when I tell you you're going to do a presentation?
Um, I do.
You do.
I love public speaking, and I did when I was little.
Oh,
And as I was growing up, I don't know why I didn't have. I mean, okay, if I'm talking in front of 1,000 people, I still have butterflies in my stomach
okay.
because I want to be sure that I'm going to stay on the message and give people what God's brought them there to hear, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But so I still have butterflies, but I really enjoy it, and I think I spent years and years traveling, equipping practicum speaker trainers
Mm,
to present our summer practicums. So I spent years on the road going all over the country speaking to people about speaking at practicums and then coming home and speaking at practicums. And what I loved the most about that was connecting with the audience, finding
mm,
something that I was passionate about, that they were interested in, or that I could entice them to be interested in. And then we could learn about it together. And I don't know, Delise, it's that spark, it's that connection between speaker and audience that really lights up my eyes. And so
mm,
if I think, oh, there's something that is special to me, I wonder if it could be special to you, and presenting that and then feeling the response. It's a
mhm.
high like nothing else to me.
I love that. What about you, Kelly? Do
Yeah.
you like to speak in public?
Oh my, you're asking a question that I think you already know the answer to.
Do
Absolutely, and I have from the time that I was young. So like many of our foundation students who have the opportunity to weekly practice presentations in community, from the time that I was little, I have spoken publicly. One of my favorite memories is in kindergarten. I was asked to recite "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," and and this was in front of a large audience. I still remember standing on that platform in my squeaky little patent leather
Oh,
shoes and
yes.
my little red velvet dress, reciting, and just the pleasure that it brought to the people who were hearing me gave me so much joy.
Mhm.
Even then, as a little 5-year-old, and I'm blessed to have an opportunity to speak publicly each year as I serve as the MC for National Memory Master for our National Memory Master
Mhm.
competition. So each year, I have a moment as we're introducing the finalists and we're beginning the competition where I think about that 5-year-old little girl in her squeaky little shoes standing on the
Aw.
stage in that auditorium. And it's a moment of gratitude to God for
Mhm.
the experiences that He allows us to have because He truly does go before us. And I think that is something that as you're thinking about your family presentation, be mindful of that. God's gone
Mhm.
before you. He's allowed you to have this experience and to have other experiences to share with the other families in your community. And it is such a blessing. Like Lisa said, when you connect hearts to hearts through the words that you're allowed to say. So,
Yeah.
yes, I love, love, love. And we may be the anomaly. I don't know, Lisa.
Well,
Well,
I was getting ready to say, okay, we might need to stop. Just
let
for
me
a
put
minute.
something different in the pot though,
I
because
know,
so I
because
have a different perspective
everybody
on that.
doesn't love it, Delise.
Not everybody loves it, and it's funny, I was just thinking about the fact that public speaking is actually the number one fear,
It
like, it's the most
is.
popular fear, and I was thinking to myself, I hadn't planned to answer this question, but
Right.
the fact of the matter is that I feel neutral So
Mm-hmm.
you all love it.
Right.
Most people hate it,
Yep.
according to statistics. But I thought to myself, why do I feel neutral about that? And I think I feel neutrally about public speaking because, similar to you all, I have always done it. I cannot
Right.
think of a time. I think I've said on the show before that my first time in front of a crowd of thousands, I was baby Jesus. Like that's literally that's a fact. And it was
Right.
that from that point forward, we were always doing things on platforms. And so in my mind, there is no difference. I can
Right.
talk to you as an individual. I can speak to 5 people, 10 people, 25 people, 2,000 people. It's all the same. And as parents listening, I really want to encourage you to give your children that gift. You know, if you're still
Yes.
on the fence about maybe homeschooling with CC, one of the most beautiful things that you can gift your child is those weekly presentations. The fact that the children do presentations every single week makes it not a big deal to them anymore.
Yes.
And so this family presentation might feel a little bit like a big deal to you as an adult if you're not accustomed to it, but your children probably don't care because they do it
Right.
all the time. And it
Mhm.
really is a gift to not feel overwhelmed by the idea of having to present in front of people. It really unlocks the world to you in a different way.
Mhm.
And so I love that we're talking about this and just normalizing it is really all you have to do to at least get a person like me who doesn't care. You know,
Yeah.
it's not that I love it,
Yeah.
but I don't care.
Right. Right. And even, if you just think about, like you said, Delise, you're talking to a group of your friends who
Mhm.
are already invested in the same things that you are, who are already doing life with you every
Yes.
week. And so you're not in front of 5,000 people, and a family presentation is not a teaching opportunity. You're just introducing yourselves
Mhm.
to your friends in a deeper way.
Mhm.
That's not scary.
And it's not scary. And today, you may have noticed in our title that we are talking about a specific type of presentation. So, of course, every week in community, a different family is invited to present and introduce themselves. But some communities do holiday family presentations. Lisa, will you tell us a little bit more about those?
Some communities, this is really interesting. There are communities, well, all over the world now. Some communities in the fall work super hard to be done by Thanksgiving. They're looking forward to a nice long break.
Mhm.
Um, and some go into the middle of December with their community days. And so there are opportunities for us to do family presentations as we approach the holiday season that maybe could be done in a little bit of a different way. And lots of families really get into celebrating holidays. If it's whether it's Thanksgiving or Advent, um, people feel strongly about it. And it
Mhm.
makes people who have not been creative before kind of creative. And so today we wanted to just talk about um, the whole idea of, hey, a holiday presentation could be like a little bit of a different flavor. And for those of you who are thinking, I have no idea what to do. I'm supposed to stand up there, and these children are running around like crazy people, and they never do what we planned for them to do. And I don't know what to do to introduce me and 4 of our kids to the rest of the community. They already know us. The holiday, that holiday
Mhm.
hook can give you something new to think about. Hey, are you a Classical Conversations Challenge graduate or a parent of a graduate wondering how to stay connected to the CC community after graduation? Well, the new Classical Conversations Alumni Network launched this May to keep you engaged. You'll find networking, job opportunities, and inspiring content featuring CC celebrities and success stories. You'll be able to connect with fellow CC alumni. You'll be able to find meaningful career opportunities for both parents and students with employers who share our values through our Red Balloon partnership. And you'll discover events tailored to your career interest. Join a thriving community that's already helping members leverage their classical education for real-world success while maintaining the values and friendships that matter the most. Whether you're seeking your next career move, looking to network with like-minded professionals, or you just want to stay inspired by fellow alumni achievements, the Alumni Network is your home base for continued growth. You can learn more at ccalumni.network/. You can join a community that's empowering CC alumni and parents to connect, thrive, and inspire through their shared legacy of Christian classical education. I'm sure that your fertile imagination, Kelly, has come up with lots of things that you could do as a holiday family presentation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is the thing that, Delise, you are so right. Usually the students are so excited about sharing. It's the parents who get hung up on worrying, am I doing this quote unquote right?
Right.
And the only way to not do it right is to not do it at all.
Right.
So I think, heading into a holiday family presentation, you have so many wonderful things that you can do that can connect your family's celebration, your family's traditions. What does your family like to do during this season? What are some special ways that you celebrate the birth of Jesus? I know little ones always want to share what do they want for Christmas, which is an idea, but there are lots of things that you can do just because helpfully you narrow the scope of what you can share. And sometimes that is beneficial because when you have too many things to think about, or you have too broad, a group of options, it can be more difficult to narrow down exactly what to share.
Well, and we're remembering that family presentations are not supposed to be your professional dissertation, okay?
Right.
It is not another crisp component of the foundation's morning. It's very short. And so if you ask your children, if everybody shares their favorite family tradition, that would fill up your family presentation time. Yeah.
The whole time. And even just to expand the conversation a little bit, it could be another holiday.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
For example, my parents got married on Valentine's Day. And because of the way it happened, my mom, I think he also proposed to my father proposed to my mother on Valentine's Day. And so there's a day where she was walking with an enormous balloon across the street, and a journalist took a picture of her, and she was in the newspaper because the balloon was just so big. You can just see her little legs walking underneath it. It was super cute. But that's a story. That's an example of a Valentine's Day story that you could tell if your family presentation falls in February. That's a fun fact about my family that most people wouldn't know, and same could go for Easter time. So I do want to encourage our listeners to even think beyond Christmas, I almost said Valentine's Day again.
Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Exactly. And the New Year's holidays.
Yes. There are lots. And it doesn't, you could celebrate Pi Day.
Yeah.
You could celebrate Arbor Day. You could celebrate Veterans Day. These are just ideas that, like Kelly said, help give you a nucleus to start building your family presentation around. If you think I've been in this community for 4 years and everybody knows me, everybody knows my kids. What's something different, something unique? Pick a holiday and do your family presentation based around that.
Exactly. Well, guys, I want to hear some stories. Tell me about a family presentation, yours or an anonymous other person's, that maybe went awry, so that we don't feel so bad if our presentations don't go the way that we planned.
Yes. All right, Kelly, you got to tell it. You got to tell the story.
I have a story. So this is not our family's presentation, thankfully, but we did have a family that wanted to introduce all of the members of the family, and that included the family hamster. So they brought in the hamster in the little cage, and everyone was introduced. Oh, as you can imagine, the hamster was wildly popular with all of the foundation students. And so, toward the end of the presentation, everyone is asking, they're taking some questions. And then one of the children that was sitting there watching said, "Where did the hamster go?" And I think
That
we
was
all
a rhetorical question.
yeah, I thought well, of course, the hamster's in his cage. Well, the hamster was not in his cage. And so for the next 20 to 25 minutes, opening assembly became a game of where's the hamster? Can we find the hamster? But fortunately, he was found. He did not make his way into the wall or anywhere that he could not be retrieved. But it made me chuckle because so many times as homeschoolers, we feel like we have to have all the details figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes life veers us in another direction. And the ironic thing is, by the time that we had all looked for that hamster for 20 minutes, we all knew each other better in that room than we had previously. So interestingly, that impromptu experience actually had one of the results that you want to have from sharing your family presentation. And that is that others get to know you better and you get to know them better. And it knits hearts in the community over a shared experience, which that was a surprising one, but it was a good one.
Shared trauma, nothing like that. Shared trauma to just bond you together.
Oh, that's so funny.
Lisa, what about you?
One of the best presentations that I ever saw in our community, we had a family that had 4 children and the mom, and they all played an instrument. And so they were going to bring their instruments in. They were just going to play, it's a very short presentation, remember? So they were just going to play, it was a nursery rhyme. It might have been Mary Had a Little Lamb or Twinkle, Twinkle. It was something very simple. Mm-hmm. But the dad decided that he was going to come that morning too. And he did not play an instrument. And so they gave him like rhythm sticks. And so he was just, and apparently this dad was, had no musical ability. Let's just say that. And so the mom and the kids are all playing their instruments, and dad found every beat except the beat that they were playing on. And you could just tell that he thought this was going to go way differently than it went. But by the end, everybody was just kind of chuckling because even the littlest kids are playing their instruments. And you can tell what song it's supposed to be. And dad is just getting redder and redder and redder. But it endeared him to the rest of the kids for the rest of the year. So whenever that dad appeared, everybody wanted to talk to him because they remembered that he was just like them and sometimes did things wrong.
See, and I love both of these stories because the moral is the same.
Yes.
It's true what you said, Kelly, that the only way to do it wrong is to not do it. It doesn't matter if you impress everyone. It doesn't matter if you stick to the plan. I mean, obviously, everyone come and do your best. But at the end of the day, the point really is to make a connection with your community. And you can do that just by showing up. That's really all it takes. And so I love those stories. Kelly, do any of the presentations that you've seen over the years stick out to you? Is there a highlight that maybe you want to bring to the surface?
So one that comes to mind, there was a mom who went the extra mile and she printed face-sized photos of each of the people in the family. And she stapled them to paint stirrers. So essentially she had face masks of each person in the family. And what made the presentation so unique was that the members of the family all switched whose faces they had. And so, like, for instance, their 4-year-old had the mask of the dad. And so when it was her turn, she introduced herself as the dad would have introduced himself. And it was so delightful because they were sharing things about the members of the family. Like, for instance, the son said, "Hi, I'm the mom and I take good care of my family. And these are the ways." And it was just so precious and delightful and unexpected and simple, but lots of fun. And the other one that comes to my mind, there was one family in our community and the mother was very musical. And again, I think this goes back to what we were saying about, think about what makes your family unique. And they were a very musical family. And she took the tune of our beloved Timeline song.
Oh, wow.
She actually put lyrics to it for their family's timeline. And so their family stood up in front of, the people there in our community, and they sang through their family's little timeline and shared, this is, timeline, this is our family's timeline. And it was so beautiful because it was like 2003, mommy met daddy, 2007, the oldest child is born. And it was just so precious that they, sang it together as a family, and everyone loved it. But again, it all comes down to, what is that thing that makes your family unique? Maybe, you're not a musical family. Maybe you're a family that loves to travel. Or maybe you're a family that loves to make art together. Or maybe there's some hobby like rock climbing or something that just makes you unique. I think just by thinking about those things together as a family and thinking, what do we want to share with everyone about our family, makes any family presentation special. But I have to say, the timeline was near and dear to my heart because I develop a lot of things for foundations. And I thought, so many times we try to reach really far outside the box for this incredibly creative thing. And sometimes the most creative things start a little closer to home. And if we think about that shared experience that we have with others, there are things like the timeline song that can knit our hearts together to others in the community. But I thought those two, when I think about presentations, those are the two that come to mind.
That's great. And I definitely agree with you that sometimes just thinking closer to home is a good way to start. It doesn't have to be so far outside the box. You don't have time to accomplish it. It can be something that's just really simple. Lisa, what about you? What presentations have stuck out to you over the years that you've been a part of Classical Conversations?
Well, I'll tell you. I also have two.
Okay.
And one will make everybody feel better. You don't have to compose a song. You don't have to have impressive props. When my girls were young, when they were still in foundations, I was a challenge tutor. I was a challenge director. And so I missed most of the family presentations that weren't my family's. So I just brought my challenge students in with me when it was our family's turn, but I missed most of everybody else's. And I was worried. I thought, I have one daughter who was born to speak or to speak at all. And to speak in public was not a problem for her. And one who would always rather be in the background and would just as soon people, not be listening to her all at the same time. And so I had that to balance. And so one year for our family presentation, I said, okay, I'm just going to pretend to be a newscaster and I'm going to introduce myself as myself, but I'm going to have a pretend microphone and I'm just going to interview you and daddy. And people will learn. And then you don't have to think of what to say. I'm going to ask you the question and you get to answer. And so I asked them questions like, what is your favorite part of the Foundations Day? And, I did not script it for them and I didn't ask them. So I lived in fear that they were going to say lunch or,
At the
play
end,
with my friends.
when I go home.
When I go home. But I took the chance. So I asked them, what did they like about Foundations? And if they could go anywhere in the world they wanted to go on vacation, where would they go and who would they take with them? And so I asked both my daughters and my husband that. It was just enough. And I put the nervous one as a sandwich in between the two. My husband's a pastor. He's used to talking in public. And my one daughter who lives to make a presentation. And so the other one was sandwiched in the middle. So she had time to get comfortable. It was questions that everybody could get to know them better by knowing the answer, but not anything that they had to memorize or feel like everybody was staring at them like, oh, that's such a weird thing, So that was one of my most memorable. The other is one that we did as a community. And I don't know if y'all have ever heard of a Jessie tree. It's sort of like a Christmas tree that is Advent calendar themed, but it's with the Christmas tree. And the ornaments are symbols of the story that God has woven over time. From the stump of Jesse, a shoot will arise, and that was Jesus. And so there are 25 ornaments that have a part of that story, a part of that legacy story. And there's a scripture that goes with each. And it starts with a stump and a branch, and it goes through. There's a Noah's Ark ornament, and the one that our family had was Joseph's coat of many colors. And so we made little clothes hangers and put a little cloak on it. It goes all the way down. And then Christmas morning, it is the baby in a manger. Anyway, we did that presentation as a community. Really, it was the last family presentation before the holiday break. And we introduced everybody to the idea of the Jesse tree, and we told the story. And then that next week, the kids, we had a mom kid play date, and the moms came together, and everybody took a day. We had 20 some families in our community. Everybody took a day and made enough ornaments for everybody in the community. So the girls and I made 25 Joseph's coat of many colors on a hanger, so that at the end of the day, everybody went home with a whole set of ornaments. And when December 1st came, we knew that we were all doing that same Advent devotional together. And that was really memorable. It was fun. It was a fun thing to do. It was a great way to remind our children of the story, that God had that story in mind all those years. And it gave them all something in common that they did. And that was a very meaningful presentation.
That is such a cool idea. If you were a director, steal that idea.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
And there are books. There's a Jesse Tree book that has a devotion but you don't have to have that. You can go online. If you just Google Jesse Tree, it will tell you all the symbols and all the scriptures that go with the symbols. It's very easy to replicate.
Hey everyone, we want to interrupt this show to tell you more about this semester's sponsor, Judson College. Judson College is an amazing fit for a CC student because they really do focus in on our three uniques: classical, Christian, and community. Listen to their mission statement. They say, equipping students to give their lives for the cause of Christ in the church, among the nations, and in every aspect of society. Let me tell you a little bit about what they mean when they say every aspect of society. I know sometimes we think of a Christian college and we think, okay, you're just teaching me to go into vocational ministry. Well, guess what? We spoke with a representative from Judson College, and he shared with us that it's more than just official ministry. They believe that every believer is equipped and needs to be equipped for ministry wherever their feet land. So whether that means the marketplace or someone's church. Judson College has a wide variety of degrees for students to choose from, including 25 majors, as well as 5 years bachelor's to master's programs. And each of these programs are taught by exceptional faculty who are experts in their field and passionate about investing in the lives of their students. They want their students to leave equipped theologically and professionally for whatever career God wants them to pursue. To find out more about what Judson College has to offer, visit judsoncollege.com/distinctives. And again, thank you to Judson College for sponsoring this semester of the Everyday Educator. Let's get back to the show. Well, and you could even I think keeping it on a tree is a great idea. But if you're overwhelmed, maybe you don't have a lot of crafty people in your community,
Right.
you could change it to a calendar
You
and just have
absolutely
each
could.
family,
Yep.
create or decorate the different square. We always had a calendar, an advent
We
calendar
did
where we
too.
moved. And it's just the tactile aspect of it. I think that the
Right.
kids love, and they really need to know when Christmas is coming.
That's right.
So
That's right.
also being
And
able to count down.
as moms, we really need not to answer that every day.
Exactly. Go look at your calendar. Go look at your calendar. So there are a lot of ways you could apply that, but the Jesse tree is a great one.
Yeah.
Well, I would think that if you're listening, you might also need some practical tips. Like, how do I approach this monkey? You told me not to be afraid. You told me to get a good idea. But now that I have my good idea, what do I do with it? Ladies, will you break it down? Will you each give us 3 good tips for preparing for family presentations? Kelly, can we start with you?
Sure. I'm glad I get to go first, so that way
Now I have to think of more. Okay.
I don't have to think after Lisa. I think my first tip would be to consider the boundaries of what you have
Hmm.
been given. So I know
Yeah.
all of the foundation's directors who are listening to this podcast are holding their breath going, oh, but they only have 5 to 7 minutes.
Right.
So I would say, just be mindful that your presentation is going to be part of your opening assembly time. And you definitely don't want to bring much sadness to your director by accidentally going
For
30
20
minutes.
minutes.
Right.
Oh,
So I think my first tip would be to consider the parameters that you've been given and
Mhm.
respect them. So my second tip follows right into that, which is, practice at home before you show up in community. And so that may look different depending on the topic that you've chosen. For instance, Lisa's presentation with interviewing her family, she might have said to them, I think you need to keep it to like 3 sentences or 4 sentences.
I definitely said that to one person. Yes.
So that way, you're mindful that you're going to stay within the realm of what you've been given. But I think my third tip would be this: don't give in to the temptation to do it all yourself, mom
Yeah.
or dad.
Yes.
Involve your children because they may have some creative idea that you would have never thought of, but it might be just the most wonderful thing. And
Mhm.
so I would say definitely start by having a conversation with your children and ask them good questions, like we encourage all of our families to do in classical conversations. Ask them questions about, what do you think makes our family unique? What do you think people would want to know about us? And see where that conversation leads. You might be surprised, you might be horrified, but hopefully you'll be delighted by the ideas that your children generate. What about you, Lisa? I hope I didn't take too many
Oh,
thoughts.
you took all of them. That's fine, though. I just know how you operate. It's fine. I was going to say the timing thing because we've given ideas that could take a lot longer than your 5 to 7. So be
Mhm.
mindful of that for sure. I was going to say consider who is in your family. It kind of goes along with Kelly's tip about not doing it all ourselves. Us great creative list maker moms usually have a plan. Like and if I don't have one, I mean, I can come up with one in 3 minutes. So here's what we're
Mhm.
going to do: involve your children, let them come up with some of the ideas, but also take into consideration um, what your children like. So, for instance, I knew I had a daughter who didn't like to be by herself on the stage. And so I didn't give her something long that she had to memorize by herself. And I knew that she would do better if she had her people with her and that if she could be in the middle, in between two people talking. And that made her not dread the family presentation because we were
Mhm.
doing it together. So consider the people that you have. Who is a loud talker? Who is a great drawer? Maybe that person is going to make some kind of visual aid, which brings me to my second thing. Remember that your family presentation is being given not just for a room of grown-ups, but for
Mhm.
a room of kids. So what will get those children's attention?
Mhm.
A lot of times it is a large visual aid or something that is loud and peppy that calls for even a response from the audience. I have seen presentations where the family decided to teach a song and there was a response to their song and the audience could get in on it. Just like a grown up, regular public speaker does, anything that will draw your audience into your presentation is enjoyed by everybody more.
Mm.
So remember your audience. You know what? Families, if you really want to know how to do a great family presentation, go talk to your challenge students because they are working on the 5 canons of rhetoric
Mhm.
and they will work with you to invent some ideas and they will help you figure out how to arrange it so that you really communicate what you want to communicate. They will
Mhm.
help you find the right words. Remember, you're speaking to little kids, so don't use all big words. Um, and use some funny jokes or some funny word pictures, some things that have happened in community that will draw them in and make them feel like part of your presentation. That
That's
telling a story, if you pretend like you're telling a story that everybody is in on, it goes over really well.
Those are great tips, ladies, and I love that you also mentioned just the fact that your children do know how to do this. So
Yes.
go to them, especially the challenge students,
Yep.
and I think, once kids hit those teen years, sometimes it's tempting for them to feel like, "Okay, I'm just gonna check out of this. It's really for the younger kids anyway." So that's a really great way
Yeah.
to make sure that they take some ownership because they've got this in the bag. If
Yeah.
anyone does, they have
Yes.
it. They know what they're doing.
Yep.
Before we say goodbye to our listeners and commission them to do their own presentations, would you guys give them a pep talk? Like, tell us what you could say to your children, whether they're excited or feeling a little trepidatious, right before they'd make their presentation. What's something that would be good to share with your family?
Well, I think just knowing that it is very likely that the families who are listening to this podcast do not all fall in the we love public speaking camp.
Right.
I
Mhm.
think one thing as a parent to be mindful of is to encourage your child to stretch.
Hmm.
We want to be really careful as homeschool parents. Sometimes we can expect more from our children
Mhm.
than is reasonable, or that is right at a particular stage in their growth and in their learning. And so I think my my pep talk would be, as a parent, encourage your child to do, as we say in essentials, easy plus one.
Mhm.
If it's easy for you to go and just stand on the stage for family presentations, stand on the stage and try to do the next thing.
Mhm.
Introduce yourself. Or, for the littlest ones who are maybe an obesitarian, wave at your friends. I mean, there's always a place where we can begin and continue to stretch. And I think also the thing that is helpful to remind our children of is that all of these friends are just looking at getting to know you as a precious gift
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
you are giving to them and getting to know you as part of the community. So don't deny your friends the gift of getting to know you and getting to experience community together. Because I think the most blessed moments after family presentations are when you see people approach that family and
Mhm.
say, "Me too. I had no idea that went to this college or that moved here from this state. That's where I
Mhm.
grew up." And you start to see those connections be made, not only for parents, but also for the children in the community. And that is the heart of family presentations. Let others get to know you, and then you in turn get to know them, and then be the body of Christ to each other. So that would be my encouragement. Lisa, what about you? You are a great pep talker. So
Mhm.
Aw. I think you hit the most important aspect, that reminding our children that these are your friends that we're talking to. You're not making a speech to a crowd of people that you don't know. These are your
Mhm.
friends, but also to remind your children, this is our family. We're doing this together. If you get on stage and you get so nervous you can't say your part, your family's got you. We are with you.
Mhm.
There's no sadness there. We are together. The other thing, Delise, and we haven't talked about this, but this is really important to my heart because I think it blesses every family that presents. What's the
Mhm.
role of the audience? What's the role of the audience? Um, I always tried to talk to my girls about being super attentive. When
Mhm.
somebody else's family is up there, I'm going to need for you to listen and for you to engage and make eye contact with them so
Mhm.
that they know you're really interested in what they're saying, because that makes it easier for them to tell you all those things they want to share. And I want you to listen so closely that you have a question that you could ask them afterwards about something that they told you. And when they're listening that intently, they don't
Mhm.
have time to fidget or to cause trouble or to make noise. And that great audience engagement makes it easier for every family to share. And so I thought I would just throw that in there.
Lisa, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
taking out my proverbial highlighter, and I wanna say it again for a couple different reasons. Be a good listener. Teach your
Yeah.
children to be good listeners. Give them that gift. Consider the role of the audience, and I'm saying it again because I think, especially for my generation, the art of listening is
Mm,
becoming a lost art.
mm,
And some of it has to do with attention spans shifting and people wanting
sure.
things to move so quickly. And I know that we do kind of have a utopia in classical conversations in that
Yeah.
we don't tend to adhere to those
Mhm.
ideas. But challenge your children. Easy plus one still
Right.
applies here. Challenge them to become better listeners, active listeners. I think about the way that we read books and how you
Yes.
annotate while you're reading. You should be able to do that while you're just listening in
Mhm.
your mind. And if you need to paint the
Mhm.
picture for your child like that, then do that. Tell them to
Mhm.
annotate the conversation, the presentation, so that they
Mhm.
can participate, because you're right that it makes it so much easier for the person presenting if they
Yeah.
know that they have a captive audience.
Yes.
And that's the way, as believers, we can love our neighbor.
Yes.
Do unto others as you would have them do. Your turn is
Right.
coming. Do you
Right.
really want everyone looking at their feet,
Right.
when you're up there? Because I
Yes.
know that you don't. It's much easier when someone makes eye
Mhm.
contact with you.
Mhm.
So ladies, thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Thank you for encouraging those of us who haven't done it yet but are excited to give it a try.
Absolutely.
And if this conversation encouraged you, we would love to know that. Thank you all for giving us that feedback and for asking us good questions so that we can continue to make shows that really meet you where you are. If you liked the show, please give it a subscribe and then also a review, because that helps your friends to find a show that could also encourage them. I did mention at the beginning, but we are on YouTube. And so if you want to watch it instead of just listening, you can find us over on YouTube at the Classical Conversations channel. And we're on social media. So find us over there at Everyday Educator. Thank you all for listening, and thank you for chatting with me today.
Bye, Delise. Bye, Kelly.
Bye. Thanks.